Hello, sacred souls. It's Susanna from Shamanic Shaman. What I have here for us tonight is healing our mother wound by healing the high heart or the high heart chakra. And the mother wound in the sense or in the aspect of feeling responsible for our mother's happiness, of not getting the unconditional love that we deserve, but feeling that we could only receive our mother's love by ensuring that she was happy and her needs were met. So, yeah, I'll explain all of this in a moment, but I also wanted to say my apologies for having been away from this channel for a few days. And just this month, I've had a few things to deal with that took up a lot more of my time. So that's done now. So I'm really, really happy to be back. And thank you all for your patience in the meantime. And it's amazing how in 1 month, the weather can change so quickly that I feel like summer is really on its way, even though we don't really have hot weather yet. We had about a few days, but yeah, it's coming. So I always feel like that is kind of a rebirth as well every year. Like when the warm weather starts, it's a rebirth, and that ties in perfectly with this topic, because for quite a few days I've been shown things that, or signs that, it's really that mother wound that still needs more healing, and that there is a connection to the high heart chakra, to the high heart that stands for and represents unconditional love and compassion, right? And that by healing that wound, it helps us move into that higher frequency. And of course, also just for our own healing journey. So a lot of times that kind of damage and trauma that caused our mothers to behave that way was also passed down to them, right? And the more traumatized someone is, the more they seek to get that love that they need, that they didn't receive in their childhood, from outside sources rather than from within themselves. And a lot of times they subconsciously or unconsciously make their children and or partners responsible for that, right? So depending on the dynamic, and a lot of times even more intensely so if it's a mother-daughter relationship rather than a mother and son, the daughters are often even more seen of an extension of themselves in a way. So there is like a pretty intense bond where the mothers often vicariously live through their daughters, and therefore also make them responsible for them in a way. Anyhow, without getting any more into those details, um, I also found a black spider that's actually plastic, so I cannot put that in the fire. And I feel like this has to do with us still having some kind of astral parasites in our field that are connected to that trauma. So actually not some kind of an astral spider. I should be more precise here. Anyhow, so there's a lot of that catching the victim, entrapping someone in a web, and it's like the web of lies, right? So it's that whole toxic dynamic of manipulations where someone gets trapped in the web of lies and becomes victimized and so on. So that whole unhealthy dynamic that often plays out in those kind of relationships too, where the child is then made responsible for the parents, or in this case, the mother's happiness, right? So, um, the mother, in this case, the spider, right? Figuratively speaking, ensnares the child through enmeshment and entanglement. Like there's no clear separation of boundaries, right? So that makes it very sort of insidious and almost like incestuous. Well, it is emotionally incestuous, right? So yeah, it's a bit yucky stuff. So anyway, with that being said, I did find this beautiful candle at the dollar store that I feel beautifully represents the high heart. As you can see, it's a pink flower that looks like a rose. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be a rose, but if not, then a similar looking flower. I'm not sure if it might be a peony. Um, There's also a bit of similarity to a lotus flower, but I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. But either way, like just the opening of a flower and the pink color of, you know, the high heart is just perfect for this healing. So I will light that in a moment, but I wanted to be able to show you before lighting it. So, with all of that being said, let's get started, and let's start with the smudging first, of course. So I have like different cedar from different trees, and this one actually was a very sort of thin one, whereas this one is much thicker. And yeah, it burns way better. Okay, just give me a moment. I know it crackles a lot, but it's also kind of cool because that really gives the impression of a full-blown bonfire or a fire ceremony. Okay, please cleanse, clear, and renew all of our energies and take away anything dark, low vibrational, and unhealed, and transmute it into pure divine essence and return it to the universe for reintegration. And please help us fully and completely reconnect to our own inner divinity, as well as that all around us, and through that help us be in oneness with all of creation. Thank you, Dankeschön, all my relations. All right. Dear divine higher power of the universe, our higher selves, our entire divine spirit team of the light, including the 4 directions, the 4 elements, and our ancestors that are in the light, please join the ceremony and assist the healings, prayers, and protection with all of your powers. Thank you. Please close the circle of protection around us. Thank you. All right. First, I want to give thanks for any and all things that, all the blessings that we have in our lives, big and small, whether we acknowledge or recognize them each day or not. But in particular, I want to give my personal thanks for having gotten all that stuff done that I had to take care of, and the strong guidance as always, as usual, and also just the warm weather that is starting to happen. It's not really, really warm yet, but warm enough and fairly sunny that, like most days, that I can feel summer is coming. And I feel like for myself, it always uplifts my spirit when winter is finally over and the warm weather comes in, and summer is my favorite season. So I really, really look forward to that. So I'm very thankful for that. And With that being said, let's jump into the ceremony, and I hope you've had a chance to think of some of your blessings too that you're grateful and thankful for. So, with the ceremony, let our high heart chakra heal and return to its original healthy. Oh, here we go already. Okay, so with a voice, being authentic and true to ourselves. Let our high heart chakra return to its original healthy state, to its original healthy size, and start spinning and moving again in the way that it was intended. So let us light this. So any of you, all of you watching, if you have a pink candle or a flower shaped candle similar to this one, that would be wonderful. If not, a white candle will do the trick. But it's always great if you can kind of match what I'm doing as closely as possible with whatever's available to you, right? Or also if you have, let's say, a pink bowl or something you could put underneath the candle, as long as it's not flammable, right? Make sure you keep fire safety in mind, but also something that kind of has a similar shape and design. You could have it separately on the altar. With that being said, let any and all connections. Oh, it's interesting too. It's like, that's almost like I think spiders also have something that they can sting their prey with, right? So let me actually cut that off first. So by cutting this plastic spider, first, oh, interesting. And there's a triangle, which makes me think of Egypt. So this is something that goes back to ancient Egypt. So ancient Egyptian timelines, during which the wounding originally happened, and it carried over into every lifetime we've lived since then. So let any and all of those energies and all the trauma from being entrapped, ensnared, all that entanglement, all that enmeshment, all that toxic web of lies to manipulate us into a role, into being a certain way, into being tricked and manipulated into feeling responsible for our mother's happiness, shall now and forever be cut, severed, and removed. And somehow I felt I had to cut that in half, like the right half and the left half. So it's like the brain, the right side and the left side. But whoa, and this also, like, I think it was the Incas that had these kind of headdresses. I'm pretty sure it was the Incas, not the Mayans. I could be wrong. Maybe it's the Mayans. My apologies. I'm not super solid on all that. But if any of you know exactly from which of those ancient Native, I can't say Native American because it's from Central or South America. I feel like, yeah, it's, or maybe Aztec, Inca, Mayan, or Aztec. One of those. Oh, and there were two. So it also goes back to one of those ancient cultures as well. And you can see like the body, the head, even though it's flat here, and the big headdress. So it's like a ceremony. Um, I am not quite sure how the ceremony, somehow I feel like a sacrifice, but how is that connected to the relationship we have with our mother? It's like the emotional wounding that continued in that toxic mother-daughter relationship of please love me, please love me. Okay, it might make more sense in a bit, but what also pops into my head right now is it's also that kind of thing where if someone experienced sexual trauma and abuse and or rape, that is also the kind of wounding of love me, especially if it was something incestuous where a close family member did the abuse, committed that kind of abuse, then the child grows up constantly wanting that love, that attention, wanted to be made happy rather than finding it within themselves. So yeah, something about sacrifice. So we have an ancient timeline, an ancient Egyptian timeline, and then one of those um, ancient cultures that are in what is now Latin America, um, where there was some kind of sacrifice going on and something about sexual abuse. So all of those aspects play into those toxic dynamics where we end up, okay. Um, so when in those ancient times a young woman was sacrificed, usually a young virgin was sacrificed, in their beliefs back then, they thought that girl took on all the burden of those people that needed to be cleansed out. Let's say if they had a long drought and then a girl had to be sacrificed and then, the rain would come again or something like that. So it's like they were made responsible for the health of the tribe in a way. So in that sense also, we were made responsible for the happiness of our mother. And the other part of that toxic dynamic is if the mother or grandmother or great grandmother or so on, right, were sexually abused, molested, and so on, right, that they then had that inner void and they felt they needed someone else to make them happy. But it's sort of a really, really sick, twisted, and what just popped into my head too is I recently watched a documentary on incestuous relations in the Egyptian ruling family of pharaohs, where they had children together and got married to their siblings and all of that kind of stuff, right? So, um, yeah, there's a lot of that toxicity that we don't really live nowadays anymore actively, but the toxic ties go back to those timelines. So, okay, thank you. I think that's enough of those details. So I don't think we need to dive any further into that. but let any and all connections to those ancient timelines, especially the sacrifice, let that be cut first by cutting the headdress. So the ceremonial aspect, the sacrificial aspects are done, severed, finished, and removed. Now they already look tamer and almost a little bit more like demure religious people that, like, I feel like these are people who are just constantly praying. So some kind of like in the Catholic Church with confession, but also in those, I think in the Middle Ages, I'm not sure if it was the Catholic and or the Protestant church, one of those Christian churches where they basically, I forgot what it's called, where they hit themselves when praying alone. They had something almost like a whip where they whipped their own backs because they felt they were such sinners. And it's also that sick and twisted can't even find the words for it. I just feel it's that sick and twisted way of taking on burdens and having strayed so far from the path of how we humans are supposed to live our lives with joy and happiness and really enjoy this lifetime, which then puts us into the creator frequency, right? But this is the complete opposite. All of this is the complete opposite that stops us from actually creating the life that we want, because we're shame just popped into my head very strongly. So this is all to keep us in shame. And a lot of that stuff that was done in those ancient timelines continued all the way until now. It's like, how do you prevent people from ascending and becoming enlightened? You keep them in low vibrations like shame, guilt, fear, right? So all of that, and I'm gonna cut basically the neckline now of those ancient toxic beings. We refuse to live in those low vibrations any longer, and we refuse to let those sick ways of thinking affect us any longer. We are not responsible for anyone else's happiness, neither our mothers nor anyone else's. The only happiness we're responsible for is our own, and we shall no longer have this enmeshment with other people because of a lack of boundaries, since we grew up not having been allowed to have boundaries, really, because every time there would have been emotional hell to pay, or in some really abusive families also other forms of severe repercussions, right? So all of that shall now and forever be cut, severed, and removed from us and all of our timelines throughout all of time and space, throughout all lifetimes, timelines, parallel and alternate realms, realities, multi and universes, and any and all other aspects that affect us in this lifetime and moving forward. And so it is. Thank you, Dankeschön, all my relations, all our relations. Ooh, that was a strong one. Ooh. That felt very piercing. It's like we have all these sensitivities because that those energies pierced into our own being, into our energy field, into our core almost, right? So let's do this a little gentler. Okay. Let us exhale all that remaining darkness, any and all anger, hurt, pain, suffering, resentment, and any and all other dark, low vibrational energies and emotions that we've been holding on to. And let us breathe in that pure divine essence and visualize it filling your entire body, your entire energy field, spreading it from your lungs in all the different directions until every part of you is completely filled with that pure divine light essence. And let us shake our arms. And you can also do these lip rolls, which is what I just did. It's like basically, how do I describe it? Where the upper and lower lip are kind of like vibrating, right? It's like, and you can do that from like a higher note down to a lower one. Almost like the sigh that we sometimes do. You can also do an audible sigh. Just to get into those peaceful states of being where anything else is released. All right. Okay. Let us now give massive amounts of love, thanks, gratitude, and blessings to our divine team. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all your help and assistance for the ceremony. Let the ceremony now be finished. Please open the circle of protection around us, but keep us strongly safe, shielded, and protected at all times with a massive divine shield of protection, and seal our energy field again. Thank you, Dankeschön, all my relations, all our relations. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching, for being a part of the ceremony, and for being on your own healing and ascension journey. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel further, there's a PayPal link down below. Also, the next virtual shamanic healing ceremony will be on the 3rd Sunday of May. at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I forgot to double check the date before filming this, so please just check your calendars. And I'll also put it in the description box below. But I hope to see many of you there, and if not, then in one of the next videos. Until then, I'm sending you tons of love, light, and blessings. Be well until next time, and I wish you great abundance. May truth and integrity always be with you. Bye for now.